All right, so creation or chaos? And yes, I say chaos instead of evolution because with evolution comes the process of evolving from one single cell to another and to another and changing its form entirely. So it's like a cat turning into a dog. So chaos, it's chaos. That's what its form of, that's what it is. It's chaos. We'll go a little further into that. See, because the question baffles so many. So many people don't know what to believe. And a lot of that's because too many people out there have so many stories and so many different beliefs on how we all began that true Christianity today has become like a whisper in the wind. It has. The Bible's not taught. It's made. People turn it, they twist it, they change it. But we're not going to go too deep into biblical today, because this is going to be a series of lessons. This is not just one. So I ask that whoever listens or watches this today to please be there for the next, because it's crucial. But we are going to start with this, and as we go through this lesson, I would really like you to keep this verse in mind, please. So if you can turn with me to Matthew 7, 13 to 14. In Matthew 7, starting at 13, it says, "Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide, and the way is easy, that leads to destruction. And those who enter by it are many. For the gate is narrow, and the way is hard, that leads to life, and those who find it are few." That's really powerful stuff. Think about it, because how many people do we have on this earth right now? A lot, right? And of all those people, the path to eternal life, the path to living without pain or fear, to live in eternal happiness, is narrow. Now, the question I ask is, again, creation, a purposeful design, or chaos? Okay? We're going to use a couple examples right here. So in here, I would like you to take a look at both these pictures. Okay? Now, on the left, for this first picture right here, we have, it's a picture of an architectural art. It is. It is a building, yes, but this is also art, right? It is absolutely a beautiful representation of it too. When you look at the curves and the design of this, it's not like some square you would normally see driving down the road, right? That's art, and it's beautiful. And this is a man-made creation that was put together. So I ask, when they made that, did they just throw a bunch of material in a pile and poof, it happened? Did they set down some wood and it just kind of turned into another piece of wood and then into glass, and then, is that what happened? No, they had to design, to think, to do math. They had to put multiple thought processes. As a matter of fact, there's probably hundreds of people it took to design this building, not just one. It took a purposeful design to create something such as this, right? As a matter of fact, if you were to even move any of these beams just the slightest bit, that whole thing would come falling down. It has to be held just right. If an earthquake came through and you didn't put a bolt in the right spot, it wouldn't hold it. Everything would come falling down. It had to be purposeful. It was designed. It was made. Now let's move on to this picture right here, okay? And this picture shows what would seem to be a chaotic mess, right? It seems like it's just chaos. It's just a bunch of colors thrown together, right? And then dried and then put up for display for appreciation. However, even in this picture, even in what would seem to be chaos, what we even try to make chaos, is a mathematical equation, is creation. It's a purposeful design. Even when we try to make chaos, there's still a design behind it. It's not actually chaos. In Proverbs 16:4, turn that for me, please. And I did pick this one out specifically instead of reading the whole thing. But in 4 it says, the Lord has made everything for its purpose, even the wicked for the day of trouble. Even the wicked. So even the chaos that we see today, or what feels to be chaos, right? The wicked, the vile, even it is there for a purpose. Because God designed it that way. But we're going to move on a little bit. I want to focus a little more on the science today. What is chaos? Chaos, by definition, is complete disorder and confusion. We know what chaos is because if you're standing in a crowd and someone takes a gun and goes, boom, what happens? Chaos, right? Everyone turns, they don't know which way to go. There's no design. People are going in every direction, and it's, right? That's chaos. That's how we know what chaos is. Because we can see it. We've seen it happen. But I want you to stop and think about it. Can you actually give me a real example of anything in this world that is random or complete disorder as far as like life or things or buildings or anything for that matter, a tree, a river, give me chaos. Show me something that is not in complete order in this world today. I don't mean our responses to things, because that can be chaotic. But I mean, show me something. Here we go. Okay? It's kind of cool, right? These almost look like chaos, don't they? Matter of fact, I Googled examples of chaos in nature, and this is what they gave me. Tons of photos like this. Okay, and we're going to go in a little detail about what these are. Okay, the first one, this right here, that's river. Now, over time it has found its own path, right? Multiple paths in a way, and they say it's chaotic. But is it? Is it really chaotic? Does it actually follow that definition? Does it? Does it follow complete disorder and confusion? Maybe to us when we look at it, it's confusing because we're like, we don't know how to follow it. But is it? It's not. Absolutely not. You see, by definition, it's not. There is no disorder in this. And the river flowing, is the river flowing like, is it still flowing the right direction or is it going the wrong way? Right? We don't have rivers going the wrong direction. We don't. It naturally, and everywhere you go, goes the right direction. And in some spots, when you travel there, they say the river's flowing the wrong way, but it's actually not, because science can show you, the world can show you how. Whether it be magnetism or whatever, reversing the flow to go a different direction. There's a reason behind it. And if there's a reason, then it's not chaos. See, water finds the path of least resistance. That's what it does. And it slowly, as it travels, decays the stuff around it to create bigger and bigger rivers. Unless man comes along and blocks it up or something. If you let it flow naturally, this is exactly what it's supposed to happen. That's the way it's designed to do. So no, that's not chaos. What about picture number 2? That's a frozen branch. So it seems chaotic. Because, you have little branches going everywhere, it's all frozen. But again, this is what popped up when I Googled chaos in nature. But it's not chaotic at all. Matter of fact, it's very simple. It grows, water rests on it, it sits at night, it gets cold, and it freezes. Nothing chaotic about that. It's simple. What about this one? This one right here is actually a neuron firing. That's what that is. That's not chaotic. That's electricity flowing. Yeah. So it has its paths for a reason. It's designed to go where it's supposed to go. So even when you try to find chaos in nature, you're not going to find it. It's not there. So I ask you again, complete the definition? Chaos. I ask you, can you find it? Can you find anything in nature that is complete disorder and confusing? Now, the confusing part, in some things, we can be confused, but just because we're confused doesn't mean it actually is. It's nature behind it. Is it confusing? No, we just don't understand it yet, right? Yeah. So it doesn't follow the definition. Let's move into the human body. Okay? And this very first image right here is a detailed map of language representation in the human brain. And this is an actual reading right here. And you can see the flow. See how it's all, there's a design to it. Like the brain works in a very purposeful way. There's no chaos about it. Matter of fact, quite the opposite. There's a programming to it that is beyond our capabilities to even fathom because it's so perfectly programmed. We try to, right? We try to create robots and other things like that to follow, to mimic, to create AI. Why is that? Because we know that life is creation. So we try to mimic that creation by creating AI, by creating things like that. If you look on the second one right here, that is DNA. Well, most of us have seen that before. Some of the other ones maybe not, but that's DNA. And DNA is literally what's inside of every of us. It literally is what makes us who we are today. Every piece of us. What makes your eyes brown and yours blue. It's what gives you blonde hair and you brown. It's in our DNA. Down to, in a way that honestly I couldn't even explain it to you. It's so in depth. I couldn't. I tried to look a little more into it, and I just realized, look, this is something that would take college and a lot of time that I didn't have to be able to put this lesson together. So I'm just going to tell you, I couldn't even tell you the depths in which DNA goes. But what I can tell you is in 3 and 4, these are cells. 2 different pictures of cells, and they're actual pictures too. These aren't just drawings. These are taken through a microscope. And what's crazy about cells, okay? This is something I really want you to stop and think about for a second. Now this cell right here is from a human body. One individual person. Now inside that body is 30 trillion cells. Trillion. Inside that one human body. 30 trillion cells. Think about that. 30 trillion. There's more cells inside your body than there is people that are alive on this planet. 30 trillion in one human body. And the second, and the other thing I want you to think about, take a look at that right there. That's the DNA we talked about, right? Well, that DNA inside every cell is 3 billion pairs of DNA in every cell. So you have 30 trillion cells inside of you, and 3 billion pairs, so 6 billion DNA, but they pair, right? So 3 billion pairs inside each one of those cells. Now, if you were to try to times that 30 trillion by 3 billion pairs, I even tried to Google it. There's no name, there's no words for it. We don't even have a name for that number. It came up with 9e plus 22. I'm not a mathematician. I have no idea what that means. But I can tell you, we don't have a word for it. I tried finding it. I spent so long trying. And so if they do have a word, it's not well known enough to be easy to even find on Google. So I can tell you, that's a big number. Now that's inside each person. Every human being. Creation. Creation, by definition, is the action or the process of bringing something into existence, right? So the question we're asking here today is, how do we exist? Is it creation? Revolution? Is it chaos? That's the question. So we ask, by definition, the action or the process of bringing something into existence, right? Matter of fact, the only other definition it had on Google when I tried to find it was referred to the Bible. Because we were created. We were. And I'm going to continue to show you why and how science shows it. Okay? First, let's talk about man's creations. What is cool? I'm going to give some examples of creation. Some really cool creations, actually, right? So we have the pyramids of Giza. These things are huge. They're ginormous. Huge, right? But they were created for a reason. They weren't just there. They were made. There's a reason behind it. And the reason behind it, the pyramids was actually, I have it right here. So the pyramids were built to be a tomb for the 4th dynasty pharaoh, Khufu. And I think I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know. But literally, that whole thing was built to hold one pharaoh. That was its ultimate creation. At least that's what we believe. I mean, that's as much as we can know from digging things up. So there's been pyramids that were even covered by mountains that they're now finding pyramids in other places because the mountains were coming down and dirt had grown up around it. But it's still, man, one of man's amazing creations, right? We're still trying to figure out how they did it. Now, on to the second one is Machu Picchu, I think is how it's pronounced. Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu is huge. It's so big that you can see it with a satellite. But it was like, they're not sure what it was. Some people assume it was a temple. Other people think it was just a giant civilization, like a castle type basically concept that lived together. But what they assume is it's coming from the 15th century. Still though, it was created. It has purpose. It was made, right? Let's go to another one. What about the Great Wall of China? You've all heard of the Great Wall of China, right? Big long wall that you can literally see from outer space. It's so huge. That was created to protect the people of China. That was the entire point of the Great Wall. Now it's to keep history. And then let's move on to one of our smaller creations, the rubber duck. Okay? Another one of man's creations. But crazy enough, I actually did not know why rubber ducks were even made in the first place, so I wanted to look into it. And it's actually based on a psychological thing. It was created back in the early 1800s, and it was created to help kids psychologically process during bath time. For texture and seal, to keep their minds on something for the parents to be able to bathe them. But it was actually a study they used it for originally to see if it helped with the learning process. And they found it did. Now they use a multitude of things for it. Learn something new every day, right? Let's move on to God's creations. Or if you don't believe, let's move on to world or earth things, right? Nature, natural creation, I guess is how another way to put it. Mount Everest. Mount Everest right now, from elevation speaking, is sitting at the tallest mountain in the world at 29,031.7 feet in elevation. It's huge. That is absolutely huge. Now see, mountains, even they have a purpose. They're not just there. Mountains, literally, besides homing a multitude of species and creatures and giving them a place to live inside and outside, they actually block winds. Could you imagine if we didn't have mountains anywhere, the type of winds that would never be obstructed and the way they would process around the world would be deadly. We wouldn't be able to live. Because mountains literally block the winds. They help slow it down. They have to travel around it, up over it, right? They have a purpose. Look at trees, right? Trees have a purpose. We all know most of that. One of those, right? Trees create oxygen, the very thing that we breathe. But not only do they create oxygen, they absorb carbon monoxide, which is what we produce when we breathe out. So if we didn't have something to take that carbon monoxide and absorb it, we would be living in an environment full of carbon dioxide, and that would do what? Kill us. We wouldn't be able to survive. So something is just one thing on this planet, one tiny little thing, and that's the trees alone. Provide a home for birds or for other animals. They provide wood for us to build with. This one little thing is a huge part of our everyday life. And if that one thing wasn't here, the world wouldn't work the way it does. But that's a big thing, really. like a mountain, right? What about something small? Plankton. Plankton are little microscopic. Well, some of them are microscopic. Some of them can go be as big as an inch. But they play more of a role than you'll ever imagine. Matter of fact, without plankton, we wouldn't be able to have the other bugs that eat the plankton or the fish that eat the plankton, which then go down the process, the fish that it literally goes up to the point where without them, we wouldn't have any life in the sea at all, actually. None. If all the plankton were to disappear, it would create a catastrophic event that would kill all life within the ocean, and possibly even on Earth. That's crazy, right? It's microscopic. Is that accidental? Did it just happen to be that way? One little tiny cell turned into this whole world. There's a design to it. Because you need this, to have this, to have this, to have that, right? For this TV to be turned on, I need the components inside of it, the power cord that comes out, that plugs in, another cord that plugs into the laptop, right? I need all these things to make something happen that I'm trying to do today. That is creation. That is purposeful design. Oh, sorry, let me go back. So let's move on to mankind. Humans. This is where we go back to all those cells, right? And mankind, ourselves, are such an amazing example of creation. See, everything within us has a purpose, has a reason for being there, down to our very own DNA. And I'm not going to go into huge detail on this, but just as we talked about, right? I've seen the world around us, all things have purpose, have a design. Now, in our cells, has anybody ever been sick? You ever been thrown up, got running fever? It's your body fighting off something that's not supposed to be there, right? Or even fighting off cells that have turned bad, that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, so our bodies are expelling them. You need to get rid of it, right? Because our body's a computer. It's a computer. It runs off electricity. There's a processing system. Right? Just organic. But it's still a computer. What's also crazy is how much water is in our body. Well, we wouldn't be able to survive without the water in our body, but what happens if we put water in the wrong spot? I.e., breathe it in. All that water inside of our body, you put it in the wrong spot and you're dead. Is that accidental? I'm sorry, but actually I'm not sorry, but I can't believe that. How? That's not even possible to be accidental. Tell me one thing, give me one example right now. Any of you that can show me an accidental, something from chaos that made something. Because even by definition, that doesn't work. Oh, boom, explosion happened. And now the earth is created. And I know the Big Bang Theory is not actually boom. I get that. So it makes it sound, it became a joke. That's not what it actually is. But nonetheless, we've never and never will have an example of cross-species evolution. Yes, evolution is real. Evolution is evolving. Our bodies evolve to the world around us every day. Go live in the cold and see what happens. Go live in the warmth and see what happens. After years and years, your body will change some. It evolves to the world around you. But that's not what they're talking about. Evolution by creation, right? Evolution. One cell turned into a completely different. It's not possible. And it's not possible because the world itself shows us it's not possible. A human can't become a dog. It's not possible. They can't even mate with other species to create another species. It doesn't work that. You have to procreate within your species. You have to. That's the way a well-designed thing works. Is it does what it's supposed to do. as we talked about and you've seen these designs. I mean, look around you, the world, everything about you, it's all a design. It's a build. Matter of fact, mathematics can even show light travel, right, to outer space and come back. We can send stuff out to outer space. Why? Because we created something that has a design that can do that. But not once, not ever, has anything just boom, and now we have something cool that we're using. It doesn't work that way. Have we accidentally ran into inventions? Absolutely. But we still had to intently use it to make it do something. Because that's the way the world works. If you want to go up, eventually you're coming down. If there's a left, there's a right. If there's a forward, there's a backwards. Because that is how our physical world works. Because it was created. It was designed to do a specific thing. So now the question is, if we were created, if all things were made, by who? I say God, and not without a reason. But that we don't have time for today. So in the next lesson, we're going to go into why and how we see who created the world. How we can see it in their creation. Because we were given the Word to learn it by. And we know it's real because we can look at history and find everything in it in history. Literally. They even believe they found Noah's Ark. They've literally found a blood in the same area in which Jesus died that has only one chromosome. It's not possible though, right? But they found it. Our own science proves it all the time, and I will show you the next time why it's God. But today, that's all the time we have. So I ask, please, follow along on the next one. It is crucial. But for today, for those of you who do believe and have studied the Word of God and have not baptized but would like to be baptized, let one of the men in the congregation know, and we will sit down with you and we will discuss it. And we will gladly welcome you, gladly, to the Church of Christ. And if you have anything that you'd like to confess, anything going on in your life, if you have sinned publicly and need to confess publicly, please come forward as we stand and sing.